So for this assignment, we were supposed to discuss one way America has changed the world. And for me, it was a little difficult to find something that America specifically did that changed the world. So I am choosing to discuss 9/11. It didn't necessarily, the world didn't, I mean, America didn't do it, but it happened to America and thus changing the world forever. So one way that 9/11 changed the world was in its security measures. So think pre 9/11, the flight process was fairly easy. You know, you'd get your ticket, you'd go through security, still customs, stuff like that. I'm not really sure what the flight process is because I've never been on one, but it was fairly easy from what I read and what I heard. You were just able to board your plane and it was no big deal. And then now you think about post 9/11 and the security measures that you have to go through. You are expected to go through, like, I guess 5 different steps of security. You know, you have to go through the metal detector. They go through your bag. They go with the wand. They pat you down. So, I mean, I've even read in some cases where people are taken to like a room to like get strip searched because they don't know what they're feeling or what they see in the metal detector. So it's just so crazy that that attack on the Twin Towers, because it was done through a plane and they didn't catch the people or catch what they had on them before even getting onto the plane. Now it's like you have to just go through so many checkpoints just to even board your plane. So, I mean, that's one way, was with the security measures. And then because of 9/11, they put in the TSA, which is Transportation Security Administration. That was put together because of 9/11. So we didn't really have the TSA before. Now the TSA, there's a member of the TSA on the flight, every flight, but you don't know who he is. They're also, before you get on the plane, all through customs and stuff like that, checking you, taking away anything that you're not supposed to have on a plane. So the TSA wasn't there before 9/11, and now it is, and it's in every single airport, not just airports in America. They're everywhere. So another way that 9/11 changed the world is what is called Islamophobia. So Islamophobia is defined as a dislike of or prejudice of Islam or Muslim descent people. So we think about racism, and basically Islamophobia is just a form of racism, but it's a very specific form because of 9/11, because the jihadi terrorists attacked the Twin Towers and that's who took over the plane. Now everybody sees Islamic people or Muslim people like they're terrorists, like they're bad people, or they're, you know, consorting with terrorists, or, and it's kind of sad because, I mean, like, that's not fair. It's not right. And they're not everybody is a bad person just because of their race. So all across the U.S., Islamic and Muslim descents encounter verbal and physical abuse every day. I'm sure, you know, I've gone into a gas station or a grocery store and the guy working the counter is of Islamic or Muslim descent, and I can hear people making snide comments or, you know, rude accusations, and it's disgusting, really. One study in October of 2001, ABC found that just 47% of Americans had a favorable view of Islamic people. So 47% of Americans, that's not even half of Americans thinking they're okay, they're good people. And then in 2010, that even dropped by 10%, and it was only 37% had a favorable, sorry, that word is hard, view. And by 2014, again, it had dropped by 10%, and that number was down to 27%. So every couple of years, people are getting more and more of a dislike towards, Islamic people or Muslim people, and it's really just another form of racism, and it's just not acceptable. People think about America and they think that we should probably be better than this, and it's not just American people. I think everybody around the world kind of has some form of Islamophobia like around them, not necessarily saying that you view it that way, but some people probably do, and that's because of 9/11. Before 9/11, we didn't think about that. We didn't look at an Islamic or Muslim person and say, oh, well, they're a bad person. But now, because jihadi terrorists, burnt down two of our biggest buildings, now we're like, oh, well, you're Muslim, so you're a bad person too. And really, that's not fair. So the historical significance and relevance today of 9/11, obviously it's going to be in history for forever. Like I said, it's changed the security measures, and whenever somebody goes through customs or trying to board a flight, they're automatically gonna think oh, well, we have to do all this because of 9/11, because that happened. And it was a very, very sad day for America and for the world to see such an attack on these buildings. I remember watching my mom and dad just watching the news, and they were just devastated. My mom cried, and of course, I was little. I didn't understand why she was crying, but now, when I watch the footage of it, I'm it's breathtaking, and not in a good way. It's just very sad, and we're always going to remember it, and it's always going to shape the way we see that day, with the way we see flights, the way we see anything that is negative. We're going to think back, oh, well, it all started with 9/11. And we talk about its relevance. The relevance of it, it opened up, how do you say, like outlets, I guess, to talk about things we didn't want to talk about. Nobody wanted to talk about Islamophobia. Nobody wants to talk about that. So it opened up these outlets for us to talk about things that we didn't want to talk about. And now it really strengthened our security measures. We can't say that our security system failed just because it happened. Yes, it was horrific and terrible, and it shouldn't have happened. We should have caught those guys before they even boarded the plane. But now our security system, nothing gets past them, not even a bottle of Listerine that you're not supposed to have. Nothing gets past them, and we're safer now. It's safer to board a plane than it was in 2001. So there are positive and negative outcomes, of course, more negative than positive, because it was just a horrible, horrible day, but we're still strong, and we're still America, and we're still gonna persevere.